Hello, this is Jeff Erdman, E.D.S. Inc. Shandon, and we're going to go on another road trip. Today we're headed out to Idaho, a little town called Buell. Another business went under. It was Langdon Iron Workers, blacksmith, and all sorts of other equipment. It completely sold out up there, and I managed to pick up a few items. You'll get to see what those are as we get there, and you'll be able to enjoy the trip as we go. Not much of a trip. We're going to take the coast route up through Salinas into the Bay Area, and then shoot over on the 80 to all the way to Wells, Nevada, and then north up to Twin Falls and west to Buell. So at any rate, a lot of this driving is just going to be desert. If I see something of interest, I'll video that for you. Just come on along for the ride then. Thank you. Bye. That's the Las Contonias Adobe, and we're going to be driving down into San Miguel. I'm going to show you the mission here. Now this has been here since the 1700s. I can't remember exactly what year. Probably be on one of their signs right here. But this is the main entrance of the mission. Let's see, do they tell me a date? 1797 is when this mission was established. Hopefully you can see that. I can't see the screen. So this is a Sunday morning, so they have a Sunday morning mass here still in the church. It's the only church that still has the original paintings by the Indians. There's the church there. Hopefully you can see that. But that's been around since 1797. It's got the original paintings of that the Indians painted in there for the Padres. And this is our little community of San Miguel. We're approaching an area called San Ardo. This is kind of an oil area here. I don't know if you can see all those oil derricks out there. We'll be passing closer by some of them. This is north of Paso Robles, probably about 30 miles or so. And got a little story to tell. Back in the 1960s, this highway was just a two-lane highway. And there's a couple fellows that I know that worked out here on the oil fields. And right here on the left side here, where you see these hills coming up, they had a well up in those hills that they were working on. And they went and caught themselves a bobcat, and one of them had a real bright idea that they'd take that bobcat, stuff them into a suitcase, and then set them alongside the road here. Back then in the early 60s when this took place. This was just a 2-lane road. And they stood up in the trees up here in the hills and just watched down on the highway. They'd set that suitcase down there with that bobcat in it, and pretty soon a sedan comes pulling up, stops, the guy backs up to the suitcase, jumps out, grabs the suitcase, begins to open it, and then you know what broke loose. And they sat up on the hill just laughing at that poor fella that was smart enough to pick up that old suitcase sitting beside the road. That's the story of San Ardo. Well, good morning. It's it's about 5:10, 5:15, something like that this morning. Got up, got my shower, ready to get moving again. So I'm only about maybe an hour away. Need to get some breakfast someplace, but I'd like to get away from this casino atmosphere. Don't care for it. We stayed in across the street from the casinos. We had a regular motel, so stayed there so I didn't have to go through that garbage. Drives me nuts, all the smoking and gambling, just waste of time and energy. Anyway, enough on my soapbox. But so anyway, we're about 45-50 minutes away from our final destination, and you'll be able to see the goodies that are at this factory. I think a lot of the equipment was moved out on Thursday and Friday, so hopefully we'll still see something over there. And they really had a whole lot of interesting tools there, but we only have a couple of them that we're picking up. So anyway, we'll be getting back with you as we go. Well, I'm here at Langdon, and this is the press. I didn't buy this, but this is a press. I think it's 75,000 pounds. Look at that ram on that thing. The thing's about 12 inches in diameter. Huge ram. And they put those pegs in wherever they wanted to. Look how thick that steel is there. I mean, that's solid steel. It's about 6-inch table. and they bend their steel on that thing. Amazing. So this is the old Langdon, and what happened with this is kind of a sad story. Fella's father started this, handed it down to his son. Son's the current owner who's selling out. He was going to give it to his son, and his son died, and he just decided to give it up, selling everything off. He's an older gentleman, maybe 10 years older than me, and he just decided he's done with it now. So it's kind of a sad story. He built up a nice business here, and closing her down. And that's one of the items that I picked up. Some old Hindi lathe, 26th inch center to center. It's I think an 18-inch wing. And of course the old cone head. This probably dates back to the 1910s, is my guess, because it kind of changed their head before the Second World War. This is the Summit lathe that they were selling at this auction. And then around the corner here they have the American, or no, this is a Lehman. They might have moved the American out of here already. This is the Lehman lathe. Big old lathe there. An old Milwaukee horizontal machine. Put a bit in on this one, but didn't get it. Machine. There's an old grinder. Look at that casting on that thing. Just beautiful casting. There's a buffer on one side. An old do-wall here.
But they're slippery. You have a tendency to disappear out of your tool bag.
There's a jet milling machine. Some of the vices I bid on, but they went for more than what I was willing to pay. Several $100s, which was a deal actually. If you buy them new, they're anvil that side, that's an 8-inch Wilton. That would be probably about $2 grand or something. It's a monster vise. More tooling. This is for bending. A little bending machine here. So this is my haul here. This is a lathe. It's a Hindi lathe. I'd say it's about circa 1920. It's got an electric motor. It's been converted. That motor actually has speed control on it, so you can do what you want, forward, reverse, all that neat stuff. Look at the labeling on this. I mean, this is really, this has been a tool that's been in a shop working. Now they use this primarily for boring. So when I look at the ways on this machine, you can still see the scraping marks on the ways. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see the scraping of the ways on the original ways here. is still on that, all the way across. Pretty pattern in there, scraping. Now they use this, like I said, for boring, not so much for, they had this jaw on here to put sprockets in, and they bore out sprockets and key them, and that's all they used it for. So old brass bearing in here. I'm sure this was probably Babbitt originally. So pretty neat old machine. I'm going to be anxious to use it. This is their speed selection right here. So the other thing I got is this table. It's got about 3/8 steel top on it, and it's all channel and 1/4-inch walled tube on the legs. So I'm going to put some wheels on it, and this will be just about perfect for my machine shop. I've got the other thing that I got, and it's kind of hidden back here, but Square Wave TIG 300. This is a Lincoln TIG welder, and it comes with the foot pedal and the gun. I also got a gas welder. This will be my second one. And I got a case with tooling. It's not completely full, but it's got quite a few things in it. It has little individual drawers, about 6 inches tall by about 10 inches wide. And so that'll be really nice for tooling and drill bits and that sort of thing. So, and then I got a couple of small tools too. I got a chuck for my lathe, spindle chuck. This is the spindle chuck mount here. So I'm looking forward to using this. Harding. So get this mounted on my lathe. And also I've got a little indexing tool here. Call it indexing, 5C collet indexer. So I can use that on some of my tooling for sharpening. So I'm looking forward to doing that. This is the back lot of Langdon Iron Works. You can see they have a whole mess of steel back here. Big yard. Quite a few different buildings back on this lot. This takes up a city block. This whole place here did. And you can tell they just kept building on and growing bigger and bigger. Very, very neat story. His father started as with hides back in the 1930s. He had this building right here, and after the war he started getting metal together, buying surplus metal, and as he did so he started acquiring machine tools and starting to building a machine shop, a metal brake, fabrication shop, and pretty soon he had one of the biggest supply places in southern Idaho. And he had a place up in Twin Falls. He had a place 10 miles or so from here in another little town where he did machine shop work. So the guy had quite a quite a business going out here. And most of it he did off of auctions and surplus that he'd buy and then resell. So, pretty bright man. Did a real good job. It's just sad that he wasn't able to pass it on to his son. His son died, he told me, just 2 months ago. So, and he just decided to wrap it up. That was it. Back to California again, and heading down into Auburn, Sacramento area. As you can see, we're back into the trees, which is kind of nice. Very pretty out here. See all the trees are out here. Very pretty. Nice to be back home and out of the desert. Hello there, this is Jeff from E.D.S. Inc. Shandon, and I'm here standing next to my latest acquisition, the Hindi Lathe. I've got her all powered up and ready to go. This kind of a unique machine. I checked the serial number here, and the serial number is 25744. Now, I don't know the date of birth, but just using that serial number and reckoning with some of the other serial numbers that are listed on vintagemachine.org, I'd put it around 1922. So it's an old lathe. This thing's getting close to being 100 years old. And it's in pretty good repair. I think I mentioned before when we were up there taking a look at it, that you can actually still see the hand scraping done to this lathe by the factory. And that's pretty much all the way along the ways here. There's a little spot right in here, about a distance about a foot, that you can see a little bit more wear than on other areas of the lathe. But all in all, the ways are in real good shape, and the lathe's in pretty good shape itself. It's got this, at some time in its history, they had modified it and put this motor on. This is actually a geared motor, so this has 4 speeds in it in itself. And then you have all the quick change gears down here. Now this one's, this change gear here is a little bit stiff. I'm probably going to have to pull it apart and work on that. But what do you say we try to make this thing go? Okay, we're going to start her up. There she goes. Well, it'll also reverse. So it's a pretty handy lathe. I'm anxious to start using it. It came with this a Cushman chuck and with extra jaws. These jaws are almost, it doesn't even look like they were ever used. They were using this lathe basically as a boring machine. They would set up sprockets in here, and then they'd bore out the sprockets. And so this was basically a boring machine more than anything else. And they had it for umpteen years up there. He can't even remember. He remembers the lathe being here when he was a boy. So, or up there when he was a boy when his dad had gotten it. So he doesn't know when his father acquired it, but it was somewhere back in probably the 30s or 40s. Well, we're going to show you something else real quick. This is another little acquisition here. I've got a toolbox with all contents. And this was one of the contents, an A-bomb size drill bit. This thing's about, I'd say about 3 inches. Let's see, I don't see any markings on it that I can see. I don't see any markings on it. Oh no, here it is. It's 2 15/16. So pretty near 3 inch, not a bad guess. And then I got this baby brother, this one here. This is a 1 45/64. So, and along with those, I had a whole bunch of reamers. Some hand reamers and some are machine reamers. This is a spiral one, hand spiral reamer. This one here was pretty near brand new. So still in the container. It doesn't look like it's been used much. So pretty nice little score. They all came in this toolbox here. I don't know if you can see that. It's all strapped in right now. But real nice drawers. They're all divided. Heavy duty casting on them, casters, so they really hold a lot of weight. All this stuff was in that. And I also got this table that I have all my junk on now. So it was a pretty nice trip to pick up all these things and a few other tooling. I got I'm not sure where I put it, but I've got oh, here we go. The collet head for my lathe, and another fixture somewhere, a little indexing fixture with collet chuck in it. So this will be handy when I go to start sharpening tools. And back in the far back here, I got a new gas welder set up, and I got my big TIG welder. We'll walk around into the back of the shop here and we'll take a look at that. So this will get you an idea of the size of this puppy with me standing next to it. When I bid on it, they just had the picture of the welder itself, and it looked like it was about the same size as my little Miller wire feed here. But when I got up there, I found out it was a square TIG 300, square wave TIG 300 by Lincoln. I knew it was a Lincoln TIG welder. But what's really nice too is it's got the water cooler with it. So this thing can do some heavy duty welding. It's both the TIG and arc. So that's a real nice find right there, and we're looking forward to getting it up and going. Well, I want to thank you for going on my road trip with me, and we'll sign off and we'll see you in the next venture.